Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, please subscribe. My channel is about all things makeup related, all kinds of tutorials, makeup reviews, anything beauty related. So today's video is a full review of the Pretty Grunge palette by Huda Beauty. My entire review is going to be this everyday eye look, first impression, using the eyeshadows for this look, unboxing, and then I'm going to have every single eyeshadow swatched and my little opinion about it. And then it's going to be a comparison of this palette to my other palettes I use on my channel. Plus I will have all the tutorials for my other palettes I use on my channel linked below. And everything on my face right now will be linked below. And we're just going to go ahead and jump into this everyday cool tone eye look because I personally prefer a more natural everyday eye look. And if I'm going to buy a palette like this with lots of vampy shades, silvers, shimmers, I want to make sure that I can create an everyday eye look with this. This is definitely a smoky girl's dream, but we're just going to jump right into it. I am unboxing the Pretty Grunge palette by Huda Beauty. This is my first time seeing the palette in person. I saw it online, so up my alley, but the Sephora that I go to, they didn't have it on display yet, so there she is. She has this beautiful cover, so I'm gonna take off. So the packaging is super, super cute. It says Pretty Grunge and it's a mirror. Super cute, I love it. As you can tell by the packaging, it's very, very dark. The eyeshadows in here I find to be on the darker side. So this is definitely a palette for someone who I think likes more smoky, dramatic looks, hence Pretty Grunge palette. So we're gonna open it. And yes, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. So right away I noticed some neutrals and I don't think it's as cool as I thought it would be. Let's see. So there she is. So pretty. And oh my goodness, so the sparkles in here are definitely more silver. There's a really pretty neutral shade. So these 6 shades on the side right here are screaming my name. These look like something I would totally create like an everyday eye look with, which is what I'm going to create right now. And I really, really like it. So like I said, definitely a palette that's meant for a more dramatic, drama, smoky eye kind of person. And so we're just gonna dive right in. So I'm gonna take off the cover on the beautiful mirror. I love it when palettes come with really big mirrors. So the packaging, it feels really nice. Like I can see here that it's made with this like foggy black plastic, but it's very heavy, like a very durable palette. And the mirror is ginormous. I love palettes that go completely flat. It's just so much easier to like work with. And all the names are right below the beautiful shades. There are a lot of mattes in this palette. I can see a lot of mattes and I like mattes. I've been really vibing towards mattes lately. Lots of silver shimmers and looks like one cream black eyeshadow, which is called Grunge. And I think that would be absolutely perfect for a like creamy smoked out wing. So that's gonna inspire me to make a look like that. And right away, some shadows that caught my eye right away is the shade Stand Up, which is just like your basic neutral brown shimmer, but I just think it's such a pretty, pretty shade. And I really like these 3 shimmers here. It looks like a baby, not shimmer, sorry, mattes. Looks like a baby pink, Rise Up, and Heroin. So I am gonna go ahead and have a single swatch of all these shades for you. I'm not sure if that's gonna be in the beginning of the video or the end, but it's definitely gonna be in the video. And yeah, so we're gonna jump right in. So first I'm gonna go in with this fluffy Morphe brush. This is the JH30. This is really, really fluffy and dense, and it's gonna really just like pack on all the eyeshadow. All right, so the first shade I'm gonna go in with is Liberty, which is that really pale pink. And it honestly doesn't look that cool. It looks kind of warm. And I know this is a cool palette and I wanted to create like a cool look, but the warms always kind of balance out the cools and the cools balance out the warms. So I'm gonna load up my Morphe brush Right away, lots of kickback, but that doesn't bother me in an eyeshadow palette because it means that's finely milled. It really matters to me what it's going to perform like on my lid. So I'm just going to tap off the excess. Definitely like a lot of kickback fallout, but I don't mind that. So I'm just going to blend this in, and holy cannoli, it's like already blended into my crease. So that was pretty amazing. It's definitely more pigmented than I thought it'd be and more rosy, which I really like. I think the rose, like a good rose and matte shade, is gonna work so well with these other cool tone vampy shades. Yeah, all right, so I'm gonna go in on the other eye, tap off the excess. Like, look how easy that blended out. I do own the other Huda Beauty palette, which is Empowered. I do own this one. This was my first Huda Beauty palette ever, and I really, really liked it. That was my first Huda Beauty palette, and the mattes, like, I know everyone talks about her shimmers because she does have like absolutely beautiful, blinding, pigmented shimmers, but her mattes too, like, look at this. Like, this took me how long? I wasn't even like really focusing because I was talking, but like, I love the way this turned out. I think this is a perfect rosy pale pink everyday crease shade, and also a really good matte pink rosy shade that can go very well with all the other cool tones. So now I'm going to take a smaller brush. This is a ColourPop E16. I will have everything linked below. ColourPop's brushes, the Ariel Morphe brushes, are the ones I mainly use. I also use the Jaclyn Hill Morphe brushes. But yeah, so ColourPop has really good brushes too. So I'm gonna go in with the shade Rise Up, which is right below it. That one is more of a cool tone tan matte shade. It's really pretty. I could actually see myself using this as like a everyday crease shade. Again, lots of kickback, but that's because her shades are so finely milled. And I'm just blending this here on the outer half upper crease. And it's coming off definitely a cool tone, more on the gray, like a gray tan brown shade. And it's looking really pretty with the rose. And I really, really like it. And I'm gonna do the other eye. It's really taking me like no time to do this eye look, which is what people want. You don't want your eyeshadow look to take forever. So I'm just blending this over, making sure the outer upper crease is nice and defined. Blending out super nice. I find that gray toned brown shades can be a little hard to blend out, but this one is super pigmented and blendable. So I just want a little touch right there in my upper crease. Next, I want to take this more mauve shade. I think so. I think I do. I can't decide if I want to take this one or the shade Brave. Brave up here or down here, but I think I'm going to take this one. This is called Love Anarchy. So I'm going to load that up on the same brush, and I'm just going to blend it here in my outer V area. Just going to give me a really nice matte, cool tone outer V. Super pretty. It's not as dark, which I wanted. I didn't want it to be like super, super dark, but it's definitely giving me some definition on my outer V. It's a beautiful matte purple shade. I've got to say, a lot of these shades like are definitely colorful, like more purple and pink and gray, but they're very wearable because I'm definitely like a neutral palette and neutral eyeshadow kind of person, but these are something that I could totally wear, and it's not like super outside my comfort zone, but definitely a lot more colorful than just your basic neutral shades. And I think, honestly, the shades on this palette look beautiful together, but this is definitely a palette that you can mix, like definitely with Empowered, and get some crazy, beautiful looks. So I'm just making sure my outer V is nice and defined. It's gonna be this like matte gray, cool tone purple shade. It's not like too purple, but definitely a cool tone. All right. And then I'm gonna go ahead and with a shimmer, because a shimmer called Stand Up has just been calling my name ever since I opened up this palette. And as always, like the shimmer, so pretty. The shimmer is so pretty, but it is so like creamy. So I know this is gonna look insane on the eyes. So pretty. Wow. So I really just want to focus this on my inner half of my eyelid. I don't want to put it on my whole eyelid. But wow, so pretty. Like that is stunning. It's not like too silvery or too white, because sometimes some shimmers look really pretty on the pan. Then you put it on your eye and it's just like a white looking shimmer. Like this one definitely kept its color, if you can see that. So I'm gonna go in on this eye. And my first look I created with this palette, I want it to be like a neutral everyday eye look, because I feel like that's just what I wear more. That's what's more popular. That's what's in people's comfort zone. So I just wanted to create that kind of look first to kind of show people that if you get this palette, you can really wear those everyday eye looks with it too. But this is definitely a dramatic eye look, like kind of palette for sure. So I'm just gonna tap this over my full eyelid, or not my full eyelid, sorry, my first inner half here. So pretty. This one's more shimmery, so I gotta go over here and get more shimmer. All right. So I really like the way that looks. Like, look at that. Isn't that pretty? It's like a cool tone, purpley, rosy, everyday eye look. I have eyelash glue on my eyelashes. I went to a wedding this weekend and I wore false lashes. Plus I do tutorials with false lashes and I don't really pick them off. Like I know it's not healthy, but anyway, it's there. So next I'm gonna go with the shade Hope and I'm gonna draw an eyeshadow wing. I'm just gonna draw like a, nothing super crazy, but I just wanna be able to like make a little bit of drama with this. This is like my new favorite thing, to do like a shadow wing and then just like smoke it out. And on this side, and then I kind of want to just run it here along my lash line. Like that. And then I'm just gonna I'm gonna go with the shade Brave. So I am gonna go with that darker purple shade there, Brave, on that ColourPop E16. And I'm just gonna tap that here, like on top of that brown. Just to like see what that's gonna look like if I do that. Pretty. Just tapping. Just trying to like purple it up a little bit. Definitely more purple. Kind of surprised. I feel like that shade came off a little bit warm. But yeah, that's so pretty. Okay, my favorite inner corner highlight is the Hourglass Jellyfish palette I'm wearing on my face right now. And I'm gonna go with this top right shade, which is Finishing Powder Diffuse Light. And I'm gonna put that in my inner corner. And then touch this underneath my brow. Go with my Essence Nude Eyeliner. This stuff is absolutely amazing. I love it. It's the one with black wood. It's from Ulta. Super affordable and pretty. And this is going to help open up the eyes. I'm going to I want to take that shade Brave again on the ColourPop E16. It's that matte purple dark shade. I want to drag that like underneath my lower outer lash line. So pretty. All right, so then I'm gonna curl my lashes and apply my Maybelline mascara, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, so this is the finished eye look. I applied mascara, and I really like the way this look turned out. This is a perfect everyday cool tone eye look, and we're gonna jump right ahead into the swatches. All right, guys, now I'm gonna do a close-up swatch of every single eyeshadow in this palette, and then give my little voiceover opinion about each eyeshadow. So we're gonna jump right in. So the first shade I'm gonna swatch is Liberty. First shade I'm gonna swatch is Liberty. So that is Liberty. So the first shade is Liberty. And the second shade is Heroine. It's definitely not quite as pigmented as the other shade, but very, very powdery. Probably, it's really not that pigmented, kind of chalky, but that is Heroine. Avantgarde. So next is the shade Avantgarde, which is a beautiful, beautiful dark shimmer shade. And wow, that shade is so pretty. So pretty. Renegade, which is an all matte black. Definitely a satin with like the slightest bit of glitter. So Renegade, definitely a pigmented charcoaly black, and it's satin. Not the blackest black I've ever used, but it is really pretty and definitely pigmented. Next is the shade Brave, which is what I used on my eyelids. It's a really pretty purple shade and really pretty, swatched beautifully and blended out really nice. This is the shade Beauty Chaos, which is a matte lavender shade. Purples are like the hardest ones to formulate, and this one blended out so nice. I don't know if you could see that. Blended out very, very nice. And then that is the first row. We have Liberty, Heroine, and Advantage, Renegade, Brave, and Beauty Chaos. I would say Heroine was the only shade that fell short, wasn't quite as pigmented. All right, so the second row, we're gonna go with the shade Rise Up, which is a really nice in between cool and warm coffee shade, more like a latte brown, which blends out very nice and is like the perfect crease shade. All right, next we're gonna do the shade Stand Up, which is this really pretty, it's very like oily, beautiful everyday crease shade. Stand Up is just stunning. Look at that shade. The shade Strong AF. We're gonna do a little mix those together. Super, super pretty. Wow, like look at Strong AF. So pretty. And then the shade Nirvana. This is dark chocolate purple violet shade. And that one blended out very pretty. All right, so next is the shade Haphazard. Ooh, wow, look at that. Wow, so pretty. Hazard. Oh my gosh, that one is probably my absolute favorite. I mean, can you just see that? So pretty. Like, look at that. And then next is the shade Fearless. Just a dark chocolate brown shade. Definitely with some hints of maroon and purple. And that is the second row. So my camera wasn't filming when I swatched the shade Hope, but this is Hope. It's a true brown shade. I'm just gonna swatch it again. Super pretty pigmented brown shade. Dark brown chocolate shade. Next is the shade Love Anarchy, which is a really nice mauve matte shade. Like a perfect transition shade. Which isn't swatching as pigmented, but when on the eye was really, really pretty. Not as pigmented here swatch though. Next is a shade Maverick, which is like a silvery shimmer shade, but the sheen of like I don't even know. It's like a very pale pink shimmer. This foil chrome shade. And you can kind of see the more pinky and mauve shades when it's swatched. It's super, super pretty. Like, look at that. All right, so next is the shade Rebel. This is a gold purple shade. Very like creamy. Wow, super, super creamy and oily. Super crazy metallic shimmer. So pretty. It's almost like what's that word? Look at that. Next is the shade Freedom, which is a really pretty pale pink purple shade. Definitely more pink or purple, a nice mauve shade. And next is the shade Grunge, which is this black, shiny, oily. I don't know what I would do with this other than use it for eyeliner, but I personally like a matte black eyeliner. That's the third row. All right, so now I'm gonna compare some palettes in my collection to the Pretty Grunge palette. So for starters, the Cold Stone Box palette by ColourPop is just every cool tone kind of girl's dream. So this palette, you get everything. You get roses, you get browns, you get silvers, you get dark grays, everything you want. There's roses and mauves. So the Pretty Grunge palette also has some of the like peaches, mauves shades as well, but you get so many more eyeshadows in the Cold Stone Box palette, and the price, like I want to say this is $24 and this one is $70. So we'll just do a side-by-side comparison. I mean, definitely the Huda Beauty formula is better than ColourPop. I love ColourPop's formula, but I would definitely rank Huda Beauty above ColourPop, but I'm just going to show you them side by side. So here they are, side by side. I mean, you can see where you can substitute shades easily. Definitely similar, different. Huda Beauty is just, I think, a better formula overall. But I think if you're going for a palette like this, and this palette kind of screams to you that you like the cool tones with the mattes and the shimmers, and this one's more in your budget, I think you'll be able to create looks just as pretty with this palette as you would with this palette. So out of all the palettes I own, I would say Stone Cold Box is the most similar. Next, this is kind of a stretch, but this is a cool tone palette that I think is much more rosy, but I think the silvery shimmers in here remind me a little bit of the Pretty Grunge palette, especially these grayer purple browns and like that peach, just a little bit like Pretty Grunge, but I think Pretty Grunge is like you get more eyeshadows in here versus the Natasha Denona one, and I want to say they're about the same in price. We'll do a side-by-side comparison. Definitely like, you know, the peaches, the mauves, the silver shimmers, but I would say that the Pretty Grunge palette has more darks for more smoky, dramatic looks. Similar, but not the same. Another one that's kind of similar, but also a stretch, this is a palette called Shadow Kiss by Alter Ego, which looks like this. Mainly it shimmers in here, but is definitely a cool tone palette, more of a bronzy brown palette, while Huda Beauty is more of a mauve peachy rose one. But you can see some similarities there. This Shadow Kiss Alter Ego palette is, Alter Ego palettes formulas are phenomenal, but I would say this palette is probably like the cost, I want to say is like $24 or something like that. Just like the Stone Cold Fox palette, really, really pretty, and overall just like a really pretty cool tone palette, and is somewhat similar to the Pretty Grunge palette. And okay, so some of the mattes in Pretty Grunge also remind me, some of the mattes in Pretty Grunge remind me a little bit of Lawless. So some of those peaches, do you see the peaches? Yeah, some of the peaches, a little bit of the shades over here. Some of those mattes, like you can kind of see a little bit of a resemblance there, but definitely Huda Beauty is a more vampy, smoky palette. But I think maybe that's why I like the Pretty Grunge palette, because the mattes in here I think are what was calling my name. I really, really like that these mattes are super, like, go so well with the other shades in this palette and other palettes to create other looks. But some of those mattes reminded me of the Lawless Dreamy Dozen palette. All right, so next let's talk about, I don't think there's any similarities really with the Soft Glam palette. These are definitely more golds. I mean, there's mauves in here and some peach tones, but this is definitely a warm goldy palette, while Pretty Grunge is more silver. And then let's just compare it to its little sister. This is the Empowered palette, which is all golds, warm tones. You do get some mauves here, but to me, this is a warm palette. There's a few cool tones in there that you can mix to get those really pretty cool tone, warm tone looks. But side by side, I mean, gosh, I'm so happy I have these two palettes together, because look at all those shades and just think about all the looks you can create. So, so pretty. So pretty. And this was my first, Empowered was my first Huda Beauty palette, and I was just blown away with how amazing the shimmers, the mattes, everything are. The price is a little $70, but it is worth it, in my opinion. So some more affordable options would be the That's Taupe palette, which is more of a mauve cool tone palette. You have like a silvery shimmer. So this kind of has that mauve side of the Pretty Grunge palette. And the Deja Brew palette by ColourPop is another cool tone silvery shimmer palette. So some of those palettes reminded me of the Pretty Grunge palette, even though I do think this palette is kind of unique. I don't think this is as boring or already have it as people are saying. I think that these peach tones here, like these six right here, are definitely my favorite six. But the silver shimmers and these really dark vampy shades, like, you can create everyday eye looks like this, and you could definitely make some really dramatic eye looks. So, alright guys, that completes my in-depth review of the Pretty Grunge palette. I will have plenty of tutorials using this palette. Please comment below any other tutorials you want to see. And that completes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment, and I'll see you in my next video.